Hello, my name's Kate Idigaroff. I am co-director of MAYK, based in Bristol in the UK. I am a white woman in my early 40s. I have long brown hair, which today I'm wearing half up and half down, and I'm wearing a black top with a high collar. I'm sat at my dining room table at home. Behind me is a fish tank, and behind that is the kitchen. So MAYK is a creative producing organisation. We work with artists in a number of ways. We work with a group of artists long term to produce their work from an idea through to the reality. We also create spaces for the development of early ideas. We commission new work, and we are artistic directors of Mayfest, which is an international festival of theatre which takes place in Bristol every 2 years. I'm really excited to be here today to present these two new commissions by these wonderful artists, Jo Bannon'un and Laila Diallo. Jo and Laila are both artists living and making work in Bristol and of course beyond. And we've worked with them and admired their work for many, many years. And when I was considering some of these themes that are seeding through this programme, it seemed to me that both of them would respond to these questions of women's relationship to public space and to domesticity in really unusual and stylish ways. It feels really important and special to be a part of this programme. It would always, but particularly at this time when the sector has been hit so hard and where it feels like these opportunities for connection and for conversation and really importantly for celebration feel really hard to come by, where we feel kind of isolated and lonely in some of these questions. And certainly, of course, the need to continue to engage with empathy and also at times ferociously around these issues of gender equality and women's rights is the work that we all need to be engaged with, and there's a lot of work to be done. So yes, here's to sharing stories and doing it with empathy and with power, and I really hope you enjoy this work. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Jo Bannon'un. I'm a white woman in my mid-30s with long white hair cut with a fringe, and I'm stood in my kitchen against a white wall. I'm an artist working in choreography and performance, and I've been doing that for about the last 15 years. I like working in live performance because of live performance's opportunity to be intimate and, when it really works, transformative. The work I've chosen to share with WOW is a piece called Kitchen Alba. It's a restaging of a work I made for a theatre space a couple of years ago called Alba, but restaged in my domestic kitchen. The piece uses theatricality, domesticity, and riffs off ideas of religious iconography and miracle to tell a story about family and miracle and faith. And it's made for my mum, Monica Bannon, who you'll hear in the piece, who, through her faith, she chose to make a miracle from my arrival. I hope you enjoy.
then Madge came over that night and Madge said, I'll help you bath Joanne. And so we put you in the bowl, washed your hair first, she wrapped you up in the towel, and Madge sprinkles, puts the whole water on your. Next thing was, all your hair vanished. And I thought, my goodness, her whole hair's gone. We got into a panic then. And she said, it'll be all right. So she wrapped you in the towel and started drying off your hair. And then it all started coming back again. It was really funny. I thought all you could see was the skin of your head and no hair. And then it all came back and it was a silky and a shiny and silky. It was just like pure silk.
Yeah, we're coming down at McDonald's and he wasn't young, and I'd say not more than maybe 13, 14, and he shouted at you, oh, look at that albino or something, and you just turned and ran after him to get him, and of course I had to start running after you because you weren't very old at the time either, I don't think. And I wouldn't say you'd been more than maybe 8, something like that. No, you didn't, but you would have. If you had have got him, I'd say you really would have. I think he ran for his life. He was that petrified. Because you would have done, only you'd have got killed actually. You'd running across roads and everything to catch up with him. Should have got him and give him a good beating.
The Pope was coming to Coventry to Baginton Airport, where we lived out in Willenhall. And there was lots of people coming back to stay at our house. Lots of family and friends, about 60 people. And my sister went over and got everything ready, put on all the food and everything. And then Dad picked me up and we brought you home. And they weren't going to let me come home because they said the roads would be so blocked that they wouldn't be able, the nurse, the midwife wouldn't be able to get to me. If not, she'd come the next day.
The Pope was shown on the television. And she said, come and sit down and watch the Pope. She said, he's just a raven. So he's just coming to Coventry. He was a raven out, like in his motorcade or whatever he went round in. The Pope was coming when you were coming. You were arriving home when the Pope was coming at the same time. So that was funny. So, yeah.
He was arriving the same time as me?
Yeah, he was, yeah. He was coming home when you were coming home. You and the Pope was coming together.
Hello, I'm Laila Diallo. I'm a 45-year-old woman. I'm black or brown-skinned, have very short hair, black with a bit of white in it now. And I am wearing many layers, including a big red woolly scarf. I'm a dancer and a dance maker, and I've been making work for 15 years or so. Recent works have drawn from ideas of how we negotiate being together, transience or impermanence, and also how we perceive the passing of time. And I was asked to say a little something about my perception of women's rights and gender equality in the arts. In very succinctly, I think, I feel that there's been an improvement, and I also feel that there's still kind of some work. We're still at work with this in a way, and I find it hopeful that organizations and people around me seem to have, this is a very live concern for people around me, not only in terms of gender equality, but generally opening up the places where decisions are made, where the power lies, so that the voices that are heard and are more diverse, more varied, and that's reflected in decisions that are made. And so finally, perhaps a little something about this commission. I have been thinking a lot about the private and the public, in terms of our spaces, the spaces we inhabit, but also in terms of our movements. And I live in a terrace house here in Bristol, and so they're all next to each other. And when I walk out into the back garden, I see the back of the row of houses in the street behind us. And I often think, what it would be like if I could just peel off that back wall and what I might discover behind the choreography of everyday life gestures. And I guess that was a starting point, perhaps. And I wondered, perhaps if I could play with ordinary or everyday or mundane place or movement or gesture, and then see how it might slip into something else, something perhaps incongruous, slightly dislocated perhaps, but I was interested in exploring this, going from the ordinary to the extraordinary in a way. And so that's what I've been exploring. And this dance is a little invitation to my kitchen. And my kitchen is a space where we often go to from the very functional to the absolutely free dancing around. So it's an invitation to my kitchen and an exploration of some of those ideas.